So, hello everyone, and welcome to another night of TGP1 Racing in Season 38. We have rounds 13 and 14 for you tonight, coming from the Hungary ring in Hungary and Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Quickly before we get going, we're going to run down the championship standings going into tonight. So, Jack Hickman currently leads the championship on 190 points, followed by Kieran in second on 186. So, 4 points separating the top two in the championship. They've got Jovial Manti, who we're looking at now, who's currently running third on 128. Dan the Man in fourth on 126. And then Court in fifth on 98 points. It is Ferrari. So, joining me in the commentary box tonight is Jack Craig, and we've got about 6.5 minutes left to go in this session. So, how are you doing tonight, Jack, and what are your thoughts going into this session?
I am doing very well, and I'm excited to be back here for another session at TGP1, and it's going to be interesting to see if Championship leader Jack Hickey can get onto the front row of the grid. He's had a poor last couple of weeks, only winning one race in the last 7, so I'm sure his plan tonight is to change that and get 2 wins and extend his lead at the top.
Yeah, that'd be very important to do indeed. As we've got about 6 minutes left to go in this session. The current standings are as Glock's on a 16.0. He's currently quickest, followed by the Confessor in second on a 16.1. There's a bit of a gap back to Jack Hickey in third in championship leader in his Red Bull on a 16.4. Dan's also on a 16.4, and then we've got Jovial Manti on a 16.5. So going to jump on board with the Ferrari driver of Dan the Man. And he's had a decent season so far, Dan the Man. What do you think his aims are for this race?
He's been great this season. He had a great drive at Monaco to pick up the win there, but I think he'll be wanting podiums. Just keep him closing the gap on Roy and hopefully get close to the championship play. I think it's a bit of an ask to ask him to win the title from this race, but if he can get P3 in that championship, I think he'll be very happy. But he's had a good season so far.
Well, Cav has just popped himself up into second place. He's had a bit of running early on before we went on stream, as he had a spin in the middle sector right in front of Aidan in the other Red Bull, and he spun right in front of him. They both picked up a 5 place grid drop for that collision. So Cam will be dropping 5 places, and so will Aidan, thanks to that collision right at the start of the session that they had. As we see, Corey's popped himself up into P5 as well. See if anyone else is out on a lap at the moment. Alistair, I think he looks like he's on a lap at the moment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he's looking quick at the moment. We'll see what his sector run time is when he gets to the top of the hill. Runs a wee bit wide on the exit of that corner to get a nice and tight line on the curb up to the top of the hill, and a nice swooping left-hander, and he is improving slightly, not by much, but he'll be taking the improvement. He needs to avoid this curve on the right hand side so he doesn't go for a wee sprint and find his breaking point as late as you possibly can. Get on the curves as much as possible without spinning the car. He's had a wee bit of a mistake there, and that's his lap.
Yeah, lap's done. Jack Pearson's gone for a spin. Court Gill, let's see what he's doing. He's currently a 10th up on his previous best. Currently down in 15th on the 17.6. 5th in the championship at the moment, so he'll be hoping to get himself further up the grid and try and maintain that 5th in the championship as he pulls into the pit lane. So we're entering a bit of a lull in the session, Jack, as everyone's coming in preparing for their final runs.
Yeah, it's just that final run time. No one wants to be out at this point. It's too early to be out on your final run. As you obviously you want to be out on the track last, just to get that best track evolution. You don't want to risk it. Glock obviously in P1 in qualifying. He's looked quick in the qualifying sessions all season, hasn't he, Glock? And obviously taking the win last time out in France will give him the world of confidence, as he's been struggling to get them pole positions into race wins, and I'm sure he'll be delighted with that, and he looks to try and close the gap to the top 5 in the championship.
Yeah, well, the only man out on circuit at the moment is Kieran, second in the championship, 4 points behind Jack Hickman in his Alpine, and he'll be looking to close the gap and maybe take the championship lead after tonight. He's the only man on circuit currently, so he's hoping to get his lap in, his final run in, while everyone else is sitting in the pit box, and maybe use that to his advantage.
It could be that he runs into traffic though when he gets around to the first sector. I'm seeing the track map and it looks like it could be a problem. We're hoping it won't be, and people will move out of the way for the number 2 in the driver's standings at the moment as he comes round the final corner to start his final flying lap here at the Hungary ring. It's a 17.3 at the moment. That's obviously just a balance of time. He's not going to be happy with that at all, but he breaks at the 50 metre board nice and tight, using as much track as possible. He'll open up the DRS on the run down Just keeping with. Alistair took this corner a wee bit wide. We'll see what Kieran does. He takes it just a wee bit wide, not too much, to get a nice exit and using all that top speed of that Alpine as much as possible on the limit for the hill. We'll see what his split time is in sector 1, and he's 4 tenths up. So this is going to be an improvement if he can keep it between the white lines. He avoids the curb on the right, the best curve that everyone's going to be avoiding from the right. Breaks at the 50 metre board again, using that curve not as much as Alistair, and it keeps the car nice and steady. And this is where Adrian Cam had that collision. I'm not quite sure what happened, but 10 places drop for them is not great. Either not, we'll see what his sector 2 is looking like. It's looking quick from the Alpine driver, and he's 6 tenths up, closer to 7 tenths. This is going to be up there. Maybe not pole unless you can get a great sector 3, but I imagine his lap time will be extremely quicker than his previous. Hopefully this car on the final corner will get a move on or get out of the way.
Well, it's Corey just starting a flying lap as we see Kieran come across the line. What's his lap time going to be? It's going to be a 16.4, and that puts him up into 6th place. Now we see Corey going into turn 1 in the Aston Martin, Jack.
Yep, can Corey change that 5th into P1? Obviously TGP1 champion previously. He'll be hoping to get back to winning ways tonight if he can in that lovely racing green Aston Martin. We'll see what his sector 1 time is looking like on the way to the hill. Someone's had a spin further up the road, one of the McLarens, and Corey's not.
Well, he's not improving, but it's not far off. He's 5 thousandths off his previous best as he enters that middle sector, heading towards turns 7 and 8 now. That tricky chicane that takes you through this twisty sector. So you got turn 8 down in 4th gear, and then you got balance the throttle through turn number 9, flick through 10 as you're building speed towards turn 11, and it's a slight dab on the brakes and a lift through 11, and that's the end of sector number 2, and he's dead level with his previous best. So he's looking like he's going to be very touch and go. What's his final sector going to be? He's going to need an improvement here if he wants to gain any more positions up this field. Just got turn 14, the final corner to go. Got to get that exit perfect and get that DRS wide open on the way out. Corey crossing the line. Where does he go? He goes top. So
what a lap from Corey, but Jack Hickman is improving at the moment. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be enough to beat that lap time. What a lap time it was from the Aston Martin. Final corner now for the Red Bull. Opens up the DRS. Will it be enough for pole position? It's P6. He overtakes Kai.
Yeah, Cam's unvalidated his lap, so we're just waiting for Glock to cross the line, and he does a 15.8, and he goes quickest of anyone. We've got the Confessor now, who's gone a 10.5 up on his previous best. That would put him around the front row of the grid. Can he find any more time and maybe challenge Glock through this middle sector, Jack?
Yep, here comes the Mercedes man, the Confessor. He's been great in qualifying as well. He's not had much luck in the races this season, but can he get any closer? He's 2.5 tenths up. This should be enough for P2. Can he get any closer to that lap time that Glock has set? What an absolute amazing lap that must have been from the Williams driver. But can the Mercedes man get anywhere near that pole position time? It's looking good for P2. Will it be pole position for the Confessor? And it is!
Yeah, it's a 15.8.0, 15.8.02. It goes pole by about 0.08 of a second over Glock, and I think there's no one else out on a lap, so that is your grid. So Confessor's taken pole position in the Mercedes, a bit like George Russell did in real life. It's come kind of out of nowhere, taken pole position here for the Mercedes team. Glock is going to come and start the race in 2nd place. Then we've got Corey in 3rd. Cam will be qualified 4th, but he's going to be dropping 5 places, so he'll actually start down in P9. And then we've got Dan the Man, who will be starting on that 2nd row alongside Corey. So it's stacking up to be a very interesting race. Just waiting for one driver who's sitting in the pit box, Mr. Chiapelli, to retire from the session. Please hurry up, Luca, as we want to get on with the racing. It's almost like he heard me there, Jack.
Oh, almost. It's same minds think, though. Like Kai and Jack Hickey, the 2 championship leaders. Maybe this track just not suiting the way they drive. P7 and 8, obviously they'll move up 1 position each respectively, but I'm pretty sure they'll be disappointed with that, won't they? 6 tenths off the pace.
Yeah, they are a bit off the pace here in Hungary, but our championship leaders going to be starting down in 6th and 7th, but the Confessor is on pole for Mercedes. Then we have Glock in 2nd and Corey in 3rd. Cam with his 5th place grid drop will start down in 9th, and Dan the Man will start the race in 4th. Then we've got Jovial Manti starting in 5th, and Jack Hickman will be starting in 6th. Then we've got Kieran starting in 7th. Phil Bardwell will start in 8th place. And then we have Aidan, who's also got that 5th place grid penalty, so he'll be dropping a couple of positions as well. CJH qualified in 11th. Then we've got Alistair qualifying 12th, Court in 13th, Mr. Chiapelli in 14th, Jack Pearson in 15th, Matt Tuvos, Wet Lemons rounding out the field. So, getting ready to go round the Hungaroring, this 4.3 kilometre or 2.7 mile circuit here in Hungary, not too far from the Hungarian capital of Budapest, and it's going to be an 18-lap race. So what are your thoughts on what's going to happen going into this race? I heard it might be wet from some of the drivers as well.
Well, Jack Hickey will not like it if it's going to rain. He's had poor results in the interchangeable conditions so far this season, so he's going to be hoping it gets dry if it's not already dry. It looks kind of dry, but with clouds, so possibility of rain maybe later on in the race, but hopefully everyone keeps it clean on lap 1.
Yeah, that's what we're looking forward to. So the drivers are making their final preparations. They're having their pre-race oranges, and they're getting ready to go for lights out here for round 13 of the season at the Hungaroring. So the lights are coming on. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on here at Hungaroring. And it's lights out and away we go, and it looks like a solid start from the front row. Everyone seemed to get a clean getaway. Corey's had an awful start. Jovial Manti's had a flying start. He's already up into P3, but the Confessor's going to lead into turn 1. We're going to be 3 wide. Oh, when they thought better of it. Glock, the Confessor, is dropping a position he's got on those medium tyres, just looking at it as well. We've got the Confessor side by side with Jovial Manti. Jovial Manti up the inside. Is the Confessor going to hang on round the outside on those medium tyres? He's just going to try and hang it, but Jovial Manti's been force wide on the exit. They're still going to be side by side, heading towards turn number 4 now, and Jovial Manti has got the position. He's up into the lead of the race. Glock is in 3rd, and the Confessor's down in 2nd place on those medium tyres. I think the Glock's starting on medium tyres as well, Jack.
Yeah, 3 of the top 4, only Roy in 1st position is on the softs. There was contact further down the order, and Jack Hickey's lost a few positions off the start. Alistair's had another great start. And Roy, what an absolute great start from Jovial Manti. He man gaining all them positions off the start. He was obviously ready and ready to go with the soft tyres.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. He's very confident on those soft tyres. Of course, they're going to build up temperature a bit quicker than those medium tyres that the Confessor and Glock have started the race on. As you can see, we're just going to have a quick look now on what tyres everyone started on, and it's quite a mix actually. Jovial Manti is the only one of the top 4 who's currently in this race who started on those soft tyres. Meanwhile, Kieran's in the pit. Has he got front wing damage, Jack?
I do believe so. There was an incident, I think it was CJH further down the order. We'll see if he peels into the pits, but it was either a Red Bull or a Williams that was on top of his front wing at the start, so he's going to be disappointed with that, as obviously Jack Hickey picked up no damage. And he's got a recovery race now to try and get as many points as he can to damage limitations.
Yeah, so the end of the first lap, and there's a slide, and Glock's round. Glock's made a mistake. He's round. He's lost it at the exit at turn number 3. He's had a bit of a disaster there on those medium tyres, and he's down to 13th and trying to struggle his way out of a 3-point turn out of that access road. But that's a disaster for Glock there, running so well, qualified on 2nd on the grid, and he's lost out at the start and now lost even more places. He's running right near the back of the field, Jack.
Yeah, commentators curse. Here comes Gord down the inside of Mr. Giapelli, and they've made contact. Bit of a silly place to go for an overtake, but I'm sure that one will be looked at after the race. Phil Bardwell though, he's closing up on Dan the Man, ever slow slightly, and obviously the DRS will be activated this time around for the next lap. And hopefully we can see some overtakes down that start-finish straight.
Oh, a bit of a slide there from Phil Bardwell, just as you were saying. He's getting close to the back of Dan the Man, has a bit of a slide, loses all his momentum, and now he might be under threat from Alistair. Jack Hickey all over the back of Alistair Bain though in that Red Bull, but he's losing out in the straight line, so he's definitely running maybe higher downforce than some of these other drivers, and it may be costing him in the long run. As we see further up the field, the Confessor is still 4 tenths behind Jovial Manti, as we have DRS enabled now in this race, and it's all getting very bit tasty.
It's getting very exciting at this point. This is what we love about Hungary. The cars can follow so close, and Jack Hickman obviously just hoping for that DRS to hopefully drag him along and obviously overtake Alistair. Just hoping that this doesn't get stuck in a DRS train, otherwise that could cause him have a bit of a nightmare race if these guys are stuck together for a long period of time.
Yeah, so going to ride on board with the Confessor. He goes through this middle sector. Now those medium tyres are starting to come into a bit of their own now. They're starting to get a bit of life into them, Jack. And he's getting closer and closer to the back of Jovial Manti, just in time for the DRS.
Yep, he's setting purple sectors as well so far. He's getting extremely quick. Those mediums obviously in their operating window. And I'm not quite sure on how good the tyre wear is around Hungary, but it says lap 7 for the softs to go off. So can the Mercedes man get a move done into turn number 1 with the DRS? Jovial Manti, he's just going to be hoping for that extra bit of speed on those soft tyres. Here comes the Confessor though, he's gaining and gaining slowly. He goes for a move down the inside, he's given the space from the AlphaTauri man, but he's good on the no traction for the Mercedes, and Roy keeps coming.
Yeah, Roy just about hangs on for the time being, and Corey is now joining the back of this duo to make it a trio. Dan the Man not too far back, and then Phil Bardrell's now dropped a little bit back off the Dan the Man, and he's got Alistair and Jack Hickey all over the back of him, but he's getting quite tasty. But there's only real one opportunity to overtake on this circuit, and that is down into that first corner. You can maybe try and move into turn 2 if you get it right, but realistically turn 1 is where you're going to make the overtake, Jack.
Yeah, it is. If you want to get that move done into turn number 2, you have to get a perfect exit and hope the driver in front has a wee bit of a moment. Alistair's had a spin going up the hill and almost took out Jack Hickman, but he got very lucky with the goal screen, so I'm sure Jack Hickman will appreciate that, but Alistair's dropped down to P.
Well, this quartet at the front is starting to pull away now from everyone else. So one of these 4 drivers is probably going to win this race. It's Jovial Manti, of course, the only driver starting on those soft tyres. Everyone else on the mediums and looking to go a bit further into this race. A bit of an interesting line, looking for the good exit there from the Confessor, and it seems to have worked as he's going to have the DRS open. We're going to ride on board with the Mercedes driver now. Jovial Manti going defensive in towards turn 1. Is the Confessor going to stick it up the inside? Yes, he is. They're side by side, and he's got the move done, and he's got up into the lead, and Corey's going to have Jovial Manti on the exit as well. So that's him up into P2, but Corey down the inside of the Confessor. They're going to be side by side through turn number 2, and they're going to be looking to go wheel to wheel through 3, but he thinks better of it, maybe towards turn 4. Is he going to think of a move maybe to turn 4? You have to be perfectly alongside to make the move stick, and he thinks better of it. But Jovial Manti going defensive, defending from the Confessor, and ends up losing 2 places because of it.
Yeah, the Mercedes man pushed him out wide, and it just cost him that exit to get back into P2, but Corey waited patiently and got the move done. All these guys struggling though on the earth battery. We wonder how long it's going to be before those soft runners peel into the pits. And I tell you what, the mediums seem to be the best tyre, because Kieran down in P14 is setting purple lap after purple lap. Maybe he'll come back into it later on if there's any incident.
Yeah, that does look like it might be the better tyre to be on in this race. Dan the Man getting closer and closer to the back of Jovial Manti now. That's where the real battle is currently lying, in that front 4, as the other 2 are starting to pull a bit of a gap. I don't think they're going to have much options looking at it, as we see Phil Bardrell peel into the pit lane, and Jack Pearson, what a surprise, has picked up a 3-second time penalty for track limits.
Well, no shocks there. That's just a usual PGP1 commentator's line. Calm down the man, make a move into turn number 2. There's just not enough straight for that DRS to do.
Yeah, had a little flick at Corey as well, and he weren't quite close enough to make a move at the Confessor. So this front 4 stayed line astern as we are on lap number 6 out of 18. We're about a third of the way through this race, so the guys on the soft tyres, Dan the Man and Jovial Manti, will be thinking about pit stops very soon.
Yep, they're going to need to be, those soft tyres are going to be brutal in a couple of laps, maybe even now. They seem to be falling off the back of the front too, so maybe it is time to maybe pit, and I wonder if anyone will try and do the undercut. Dan the Man is in perfect range for an undercut at the moment.
He is. He's in very good range for potentially trying an undercut on Jovial Manti. But he looks like he's got slightly better tyre life in the fact that he's managed... He was a little bit behind him. He's managed to pull himself to the back of Jovial Manti. So I think he might have slightly better tyre life. If Jovial Manti pits this time, is he going to do the opposite? He is going to do the opposite. Jovial Manti stays out. Dan the Man peels into the pit lane. So it'll be interesting to see how these 2 shake out once the strategies play out. Corey not quite close enough realistically to make a move on the Confessor going into turn number 1 this time round. I don't think he'll be able to do it into turn 2 either.
I tell you what's interesting, Jack Hickey's in the pits from the softs to the mediums, and he was right on the back of Dan the Man, so Jovial Manti might have Jack Hickey and Dan the Man on his tail at the end of this lap if he decides to pit.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting indeed. Meanwhile, just looking down the field, I think the closest battle on circuit at the moment is the Chiapelli court battle. Looking for a move down the inside of Chiapelli. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. He's up the inside, got to get the move done. And Glock, who's recovering from his early spin, is in this battle as well. 3-car battle for 7th place, Jack.
Yep, there's what a move it was from Gilbert. VFL Glock is trying to get a move. He's he's pushing that gearbox of that McLaren through the swooping right-hander, and obviously this place on the track is going to be very hard. Someone's had a spin in front, I think that's Matt Tibos.
Yeah, it is. Matt Tibos has had a spin in that middle sector, and he's dropping positions like a stone. Meanwhile, Glock is going to be on the inside, going towards turn number 11. He's going to get the move done, and he's got it. Forcefully passes Chiapelli. No, not quite. Oh, there's going to be a bit of a squeeze on the exit from Glock. A bit unnecessary there from the Williams driver. Yes, he's got front wing damage. Meanwhile, Matt Tibos has gone for yet another spin. And Mr. Chiapelli's dropping places like a stone. Looking at his car, he does have some front wing damage, so that isn't helping him through that middle sector. And Kieran has got past, who pitted early in this race as well.
Yeah, an absolute nightmare for Mr. Chiapelli. It was a bit unnecessary on the exit, but here we will see where will Dan come out in comparison to Jovial Manti, and they're side by side. Oh no, it's the McLaren.
No, it's the McLaren. Yeah, Jovial Manti's ahead. He's managed to keep position, have a really good in-lap, and he's going to be struggling on those cold tyres, admittedly. But he has got Chiapelli. But there he is, Dan the Man, looking at the back of the AlphaTauri driver. Is he going to try and move round the outside? Turn number 4. They're going to be side by side, ends towards 4. I think he's going to have to back out of that one, and he does. But he's going to try and look to the outside of turn number 5. Try and hang it around the outside. Can he make the move stick? We've got Chiapelli there being a bit of a pick for the AlphaTauri drivers. Jack Hickman with nowhere to go, try and make a move stick, and he's got the move done. Dan the Man up into 8th place, and now they're all forming a very much a train behind Mr. Chiapelli.
Yeah, the wind damage not helping Mr. Chiapelli at all, but he did the job for Dan the Man to get ahead, and here comes Dan the Man down the inside. A bit risky this early on in the race.
Just looking at the helicopter cam there, sorry to interrupt you, but Jovial Manti was thinking about making it 3 wide into that corner. That was always going to be very tight. And look who's next to each other on track at the moment. This whole battle has brought Phil Bardrell back into play in this race, and he's just overtaken Jack Hickman. They're side by side, coming out of the last corner. Mr. Chiapelli holding literally the entire field up as it stands. Dan the Man's going to look to the outside and surely get the move done this time round the outside. Chiapelli's going to hang on for dear life, and Jovial Manti's there as well. Chiapelli side by side, and it's all getting very feisty. Jovial Manti, Jack Hickey, they're going to be 3 wide going towards turn number 2, and Jack Hickey's past. Jovial Manti is down another position, and Phil Bardrell gets past Chiapelli, and now this lot I think will be able to calm down in this race.
Well, I think we're going to have some Esteban Ocon, Max Verstappen, Brazil scenes after this race. Jovial Manti is not going to be happy with Mr. Chiapelli obviously fighting for position. Mr. Chiapelli didn't have to give it up, and he's cost Jovial Manti in the long run.
Yeah, he has. He's definitely cost Jovial Manti. Once again, in a battle situation in this race, Jovial Manti has seen himself come second best, or even third best, as we see another spinner. I think that's Wet Lemons who's gone for a spin. Haas not having a good day with their drivers. Meanwhile, the 2 leaders haven't pitted yet. They've started on those medium tyres, and Glock is all over the back of court, just further up the road, and Kieran also on those medium tyres, not too far back either.
Yeah, but their tyres are extremely old for mediums. They're on 8-lap old mediums. I wonder if Glock has pitted. I don't think he has. He started on them, didn't he? So
yeah, he started on them.
This lap or the next, and down the inside will go the Williams driver Glock, and he makes the move nice and easy on core there for him.
Yeah, Jack Hickman just setting the fastest lap of the race, and he'll be looking for a move surely any time now on Dan the Man. He's got the pace on those medium tyres. He's sort of come alive in this race on those medium tyres. Kind of really struggling on the softs. Puts on the mediums, and he's suddenly back in the battle for getting a podium maybe.
Yeah, the mediums seem to be the racing tyre. They're definitely the quicker tyre. Obviously Jack Hickman, he looks like he's struggling on the straight. I think you were right earlier in the Grand Prix saying that he might be running a bit more downforce than the guys around him, but Kieran, he's right on the back of court. He's going to be wanting that P5 sooner or later, and the Confessor has actually made that gap 2 seconds out in front, so maybe Corey not having to pay too much.
Yeah, so Jack Hickman flicking his way through this middle sector, just about keeping on the back of Dan the Man. Meanwhile, Kieran looking for a move on Court. Glock has got past further up the field, so Glock is up into fourth, Court in fifth. And is he going to peel in this time? No, he's going to stay out a little bit longer. So Kieran is going to be having the DRS. Meanwhile, the Haas are just having a day that's going from bad to worse. They're causing the yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. As we see the Alpine gaining and gaining on the back of Court. Is he going to make a move up the inside of turn 1? He dives down the inside, makes the apex, gets the move done, and that's him up into P5. Kieran up into P5, Court down to P6. Meanwhile, Jack Hickman just can't seem to find a way past Dan the Man, and this group, now they haven't got Chiapelli holding everyone up in front of them, has now spread out a bit.
Yeah, Jack Hickman, he only gained a tenth on Dan the Man on that straight with the DRS and using the battery. He just doesn't have the straight line speed to challenge that Ferrari. Not what we usually say about the Red Bulls and the Ferrari this year, but it's just not going for him. Mr. Chiapelli has been overtaken by Aiden, but obviously still that wing damage, and I wonder when Mr. Chiapelli will pits. But it should be right about now where we see the guys that started on the mediums come into the pits.
Yeah, it will be any time now. They'll be thinking, and just as you say, that Corey is peeled into the pit lane. Be interested to see where he comes out. They've got about a 20-odd second lead over Glock and Kieran, and yeah, there's about a second. So he's going to be he's going to be somewhere between Corey and Kieran and Dan the Man, that sort of area, I think, Corey, when he comes out from his pit stop. Be interesting to see. We're going to ride on board with him. He's done his stop now, coming out of the pit lane, and he gets off the limiter, and he's going to be, yeah, he's going to be about where I said he would. He's right around Glock and Kieran. Glock, of course, yet to make a stop in this race, though. Kieran has made a stop, but he's trying to go the whole distance, I think, on those medium tyres. But that's where they've all kind of settled out for the time being. We've got to wait for the... Yeah, it was vital that Corey came out right in front of that lot, Jack, weren't it?
Yeah, vital for his race, and now it's down to the Confessor to get this in lap absolutely perfect. It's going to have to be a perfect lap to keep ahead. Obviously, he had a 2-second gap, so it shouldn't be too tight for the Confessor compared to the Aston Martin, but you don't want any mistakes, any late turn-ins in the pit stop, and just get out ahead of Corey.
Oh, that's an interesting line from Dan the Man through that chicane. Sorry, they're up there. Dan the Man completely messed up that chicane, bouncing all over the curbs, and Jack Hickman must be smelling a bit of blood. Maybe he's feeling the pressure a bit, Dan the Man.
Well, I think you would have the pressure on you if you had Jack Hickey on the back. He's been the man that's led the championship almost every single round, if I'm not mistaken. The Confessor, though, into the pits finally for the soft tyres. We'll see how close in comparison Corey is to where he was before the pit stops. He's used all of that battery, though, has Corey, to try and close the gap as much as possible. As you can see, the Mercedes man back into P1, a yellow flag in second, and obviously a car behind. Kieran, though, he is closing the gap on Glock, but it will be Sam Drive. And Jack Hickman's actually made a move on Dan the Man.
He has, yeah, we completely missed that. I was a bit distracted, sorry about that. But yeah, Jack Hickman has made the move, put himself up to P5 this race. He's going to try and charge down the battling duo of Glock, Kieran, and maybe try and put himself up onto the podium spots. Glock, I think, is yet to pit in this race still, though. So that's one man less to worry about. But can he get back to the back of his championship rival? That is the question.
This will be Sam Drive from Kieran if he can keep those mediums from lap 1 to the end and then keep Jack Hickey behind. He will be absolutely, obviously not ecstatic with the start of the race, but I'm pretty sure he'll be very happy with that if he can pull it off. Corey, though, he is 4 tenths behind the Confessor. The ERS battle is completely drained, though. The Confessor has about 70% more than the Aston. Can he make a move into turn number 1 for the win? Obviously, it'll be his first win of the season. I think it'll be the Confessor's first win of the season as well if he wins this race, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll just quickly double check that for you. As we see, Corey's just set the fastest lap of the race. Glock, I think, has just started dropping back positions because he has entered the pit lane. As we see that happening, Jack Hickman closing down on Kieran to try and salvage and get that podium spot and nick it off Kieran. Kieran's just trying to salvage his race after a problem at the start.
I'm pretty sure he'll be happy with P4 even if it didn't become a podium, but Kieran, he'll do everything in that Alpine's power to keep that Red Bull behind. Corey, though, he's keeping in the second. That's what he needs to do. He just needs to stay within the second to get back onto the start-finish straight to hopefully make the move. Alistair Bain all over the back of his older brother in the Alfa Romeo. He's going to be trying to make a move later on in the lap as well.
Yeah, it is. I've just had a quick look, and I've just been informed actually that it'll be the first win for the Confessor in 4 years if he wins this race. Season 29 was his last victory. Corey hasn't picked up a victory yet either this season, so both looking to get their first wins of the season, as we see Corey just about hanging on to the back of the Confessor, but I think the Confessor's pretty safe the way it is going at the moment, as he just sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, it seems like Corey's giving everything he's got, isn't it, to try and keep up with the Confessor. The Confessor just seems nice and chill, not using the battery too much unless he's on the start-finish straight. But it's just looking nice and controlled at the moment, but as we know, anything can happen in TGP, and you don't want to have a spin like Glock did earlier on in the Grand Prix.
Yeah,
so the Confessor just needs to keep it nice and smooth and post home for the victory.
Yeah, it looks like the Confessor is, well, he's broken the DRS margin now. It's over a second the gap, so it looks like that Corey is maybe running out of puff. He just can't keep up with the Confessor as he's putting on a supreme performance in that Mercedes. But the Aston Martin's trying his best to keep it tight. Meanwhile, Dan the Man's had a spin going through turn number 4. He's dropped down, and he's down to P8 when he could have been battling for a podium. That's a bit of a disaster for the Ferrari driver, and he's fallen behind Jovial Mante, who's battling for position with. That's the battle for third in the championship, those two drivers, and he's fallen behind his rival in that battle.
Absolute nightmare for the Ferrari driver. I just caught the end of it. I think he just touched the curb and had a wee bit of a moment and went wide. But Jack Hickey, though, he is all over the back of that Alpine of Kieran. He's broken the 1 second to get the DRS as the Confessor sits another fastest lap. He looks prime on the pace to win this Grand Prix. Can Jack Hickey the less, more downforce on that car, get any closer to Kieran to try and make a move? He's aiming, but not quite enough. Maybe we'll see him make an overtake in a few laps. But Cam, though, all over the back of Phil Barswell. Cam's a lot closer. Can he make a move? He's down the inside. He goes very late on the brakes. He's going to push that Alpine as wide as he possibly can, and he makes the move. Obviously, he has a time penalty, so he's worried about that.
Yeah, he's dropping positions, but Cam puts himself up into P6 on the road. He's going to drop 5 seconds, which will put him down in about 9th place. But meanwhile, the real battle on the circuit is, can Jack Hickey pick up that final podium spot from his championship rival Kieran, or is Kieran going to hold on tyres that he's had on the car since lap number 1? Let's see how he gets on as we get towards the closing stages of this race. 2.5 laps to go around the Hungaro ring. It's around 5.4 miles left to go once we get onto these final couple of laps. Meanwhile, the Confessor has got a 3-second lead, and he's pretty much got that victory signed, sealed and delivered.
Well, Cam the Red Bull finally made the move on Alpine. I'm pretty sure he's had another look in the back of Kieran so far this season, but he's used the ERS, and it looks like it's going to be a done deal. Those older tyres just haven't got much left for Kieran, but he's going to try sticking it inside and hold it for as long as possible. He just doesn't have the traction on the XS. There's a wee moment there. Glocko on the back of Alistair Bain, Williams on Alfa Romeo for P10. Aiden being defensive, try and hold his position. Can he make the move though, Glock? It's just not, there's not enough straight on that straight on turn 2, is there? Alistair though, he's pushing his brother as much as he possibly can. He's been within 5/10 for the last few laps. Aiden's just got that straight speed and the battery to keep ahead. Kieran though, he's not falling away.
No, he is not. He isn't falling away indeed. He's still keeping him within touching distance. He's probably going to have DRS still this time round on the driver in front of him, the Red Bull driver, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to quite be enough. Meanwhile, further down the field, we're going to keep an eye on this. Glock on his fresh rubber all over the back of Alistair. Can he get himself into the top 10 after that early spin and a bit of disaster for him? He's going to maybe make a move into turn 12. No, not quite close enough, as we see the final, well, the drivers are on the final lap, but can Glock maybe make a move round the outside of turn 14? He's got the superior rubber. He's going to look to the outside. Is he going to get the move done? And they've made contact. Alistair and Glock have made contact. Alistair, I think, got a little swap on the inside. There's side-by-side action between Phil Bardrell and Dan the Man as they head towards turn number 2 further up the road. Side-by-side, is Dan the Man just about going to hold on? I think he will, as we see himself go through these final couple of corners, on these final laps, as we see Dan the Man just about hold on. But meanwhile, the Confessor up the front of the road has got just a couple more corners to go in this race, as we see him heading towards the final couple of corners now. The Confessor, supreme drive, qualified on pole, controlled this race from the front after being mugged a little bit at the start by Jovial Mansi, but then his tyres fell away, Jovial Mansi. The Confessor got the lead back, and he's just got one more corner to go, and it's going to be his first win in 4 years. The Confessor wins the Hungarian Grand Prix here in TGP1. Corey's going to come home in second place. Then we've got Jack Hickman going to come across the line and round out the podium after his poor qualifying. Kieran, solid effort from him despite starting on those medium tyres and starting on the softs, having that incident on lap number 1, doing basically the whole distance on the race on those medium tyres, still picks up P4. Jovial Mansi's going to come home P5, and the rest of the field are slowly making their way through the field. But Jack, that was quite an entertaining race for Hungary.
That was very entertaining for Hungary. Plenty of overtakes, obviously not too many incidents as we thought there would be. Obviously, there was an incident at the start, but Kieran, obviously he's going to lose a couple of points compared to Jack Hickman in the standings, but I'm pretty sure he'll be very happy with P4 after that start. I'm pretty sure it was a Williams that had a little bit of a mix-up at the start, but I'm sure the stewards will be looking into that after the Grand Prix.
They will indeed. So that is that. Kieran gets driver of the day after his lap 1 pit stop and managing to make it way through the field and finishing in P4, which I don't have any disagreements with. Making those tyres, medium tyres, last 17 laps was all he needed to do, and he's managed to get a really good result out of a result that could have been absolutely horrendous for him, Jack.
Yeah, he's going to be absolutely delighted with that result, and I'm even surprised that I shouldn't be surprised because he's second in the championship, but I'm surprised he managed to make them last that long. I was disappointed he lost the position and the podium to the Red Roman, but to keep that gap at only 7 points after being last after lap 1, I'm pretty sure he'll be delighted.
He will be delighted indeed. The drivers are spraying the champagne. The Confessor doing it for the first time on top of the podium in 4 seasons. Season 29 was the last victory he had in TGP1, and he's very happy with that result. So here are the full results. The Confessor picks up the race victory, started on pole and won the race, but it wasn't that simple for him, as the stats make out. Corey in second place. Then we've got Jack Hickman finishing in third. Kieran finishes in fourth, and Jovial Mansi is in fifth. Then we've got Dan the Man in sixth, Phil Bardrell in seventh, and Cam is in eighth. Aidan is in ninth, and Glock rounds out the top 10 after that spin very early on in the race. He salvages a top 10 finish from that. Court finishes 11th. Then we've got Alistair in 12th after having that incident with Glock on the final corner of the penultimate lap. And then we have Mr. Chiapelli in 13th, Jack Pearson rounding out the points in 14th, CJH, Wet Lemons and Matt Tibos are your final finishers in this race. So that was the Hungary ring, and we've still got another race to come tonight, Jack, in Belgium.
Well, I know this is a fan favourite circuit, and the drivers are going to be they have to be spot on here. I know it's a fast track, but you make one mistake and you could fall down that order absolutely crazy, and it's going to be so hard. Obviously only 11 laps here at Spa, so not time to make mistakes, but obviously Spa is one for throwing a spanner in the works, weather-wise especially. So hopefully it can stay dry. Obviously we don't want wet races, as they're not as fun for the drivers, but they're great for entertainment for us and seeing people spin.
Yeah, so get ready for these the second of the 2 races tonight. We had the first race at the Hungary ring. Now we go to the Ardennes Forest in Belgium, the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Going to be slightly earlier in the year next year, as the provisional calendar for the 2023 F1 season in real life was put out today. Instead of its end of August slot, it's going to be end of July, so it's going to be about a month earlier, and that'll be very interesting when that rolls around. But get ready to go. It's an 11 lap race for these drivers round this Belgium circuit, and we're getting just the final preparations ready to go for qualifying, Jack.
Yep, these guys, the setups have to be key around here, as at every track, but you don't want to be having pretty much any downforce on the car. You need some, but you don't want to have too much, as you want all that straight line speed to make some moves. But it's all about the first sector, isn't it? On lap number 1, can you avoid the contact on the run up to the Kemmel Straight? I'm hoping that we do have nice and clean driving on lap number 1, but it'll be interesting to see who's going to be on pole position. Have you heard about any sweating or running before tonight?
Yeah, drivers were having a final preparations, final bit of sweat just to get their setups finely tuned, ready to go for this race here in Belgium and Hungary. Just a quick little one qualifying session just to see where their car's at, fine tune their setups, ready to go for the 2 races. They've done a bit of Belgium. Everyone's saying, the feedback I've heard from the drivers about Belgium is everyone's very on the edge on setups. It's very knife edge stuff, very much on the limit of grip. So we could see a few spins in this race, is the way they're probably speaking about it.
Well, it's the taking a risk, isn't it? You want to be the fastest man in the straight line here at Spa. Obviously, you want to have some grip. Obviously, you don't want to have a spin, but it's all about taking that risk, and it'll be interesting to see which drivers do take that risk. Obviously, we'll see that at the end of qualifying, but it's all about getting the lap time done. You don't want all that straight line speed if you can't keep it between the white lines when you're going in the couple of corners that are on this track. But Owen, how do you feel about Spa? Do you like driving it yourself? Obviously, in TG2, that's going to be happening tomorrow.
Yes, in Belgium is one of my favoured circuits. I do love it in real life, and in game it's one of my favoured circuits. It's fast, it's flowing. There's not really any traction zones, which is normally quite an issue for me. So yeah, it's a really good circuit for me. I do prefer the way Spa has been done on other games rather than this one, especially the last chicane on this one, which is basically flat, when in real life there's a fair bit of elevation change in that bus stop, as we get ready to go for qualifying here at Spa on F122.
I don't think I've ever actually finished a race in TGV at Spa.
Bodes well for tomorrow night.
It's not my type of track, so I don't think you'll be seeing me anywhere near the front tomorrow night in TGV2. If you want to check out that stream, same time.
I mean, if you could take some points off Dom for me tomorrow night, that would be handy. But if you're saying you're nowhere near the front, that's kind of disappointing from my point of view.
I don't think there'll be anyone except you and John Menzies taking any points off Dom Smith. I did what I could in France last week. I tried to hold him back. It's just the wheel of the Ferrari man just got me in the end. He betrayed us on the pads. Yeah,
another person moaning about the wheel. Drink. Right, as we get ready to go. It's taken a while, actually. Is everything okay?
I've not seen that anyone's exited the lobby. I thought it was just my PS4 loading times, obviously behind the times of Subway Wage not covering the PS5, but I think the lobby might have had a wee crash.
Yeah, I think the lobby, we may be having some technical issues here in TGP1, so we'll have to wait and see if it sorts itself out. One sec. Yeah. Okay, I'm just hearing from some of the drivers that, yeah, there's an issue with the lobby, so there's probably going to be a lobby restart, which we'll be going through the process of now. So, just waiting for those to sort themselves out, and we'll get that sorted out. I might have to exit the game, unfortunately, though. I don't know if that's going to keep streaming or not. We will find out shortly. Hold the line, caller.